Damn it. I knew I should have went to bed. That's what my ass get for staying up, being nosy, and just going down rabbit holes and digging up information. Now I gotta come on and talk about the information that I found, and no, it ain't no gossip or nothing like that. This is just some real information, and this is a theory that just excited me. So I just wanted to jump on and talk about it before I lost this thought in my sleep somewhere. And so I was reading about gangsters and thugs, and I wanted to know where the origin of thugs come from. When did people start being called thugs or referred to in that manner? And so I started to do some research, and then I started digging a little bit, and I found out that thugs, actually the word thug is the root word of a tribe from India that was called the Thuggee tribe. And the Thuggee tribe was a band of criminals, basically. I'm just dropping everything in layman's terms. They was professional criminals, and they would ascribe to violence a lot of the times because they worship the god Kali. Now remember that. That's very important because the god Kali is the god of destruction. She's the god of death and destruction. Remember that. All right. So they worship the god Kali, and so their tribe was basically a bunch of con artists, swindlers, killers, whatever you can ascribe to violence. That's what they were. And so now you have the Thuggy tribe. What's going on, Mike? Did you get it together, bro? Did you find how to drop the link? I ain't figured it out yet myself. I'm gonna ask one of them OGs tomorrow and go ahead and learn how to do that so I can start bringing people in the link. But I appreciate you coming in because I'm just talking about some stuff that I just found out, man, and I'm just connecting some dots. That's what I tend to do a lot of the times on my panel or on just me talking. I like to connect dots and try to come up with answers for stuff. So what I'm talking about is I started to dig and find out where the origin of the word thug came from, and it came from the Thuggee tribe out of India. Now, you had some Hindus that were in the Thuggee tribe. You had some of them that were Muslim, but for the most part, whenever the British went over there and started to deal with them and do like merchant deals and stuff like that, they would get conned and they would get put in a, yeah, I need an upgrade too, bro. I definitely need an upgrade. And I'm gonna work on that. I get paid soon, so I'm gonna go ahead and invest a few dollars in my channel, man, and get it popping like I can get it really popping. Cause I'm just starting to, bro. I've been doing this for about a year, and I just really been on my own for really about the last 8 months or so, man, and just figuring this thing out as I go along. I linked up with a couple cool people, but I'm pretty much on my own. I'm a lone wolf, pretty much. I associate with people and I, fellowship with people, but I stand on my own so that I'm not misrepresenting anybody. I'm representing myself. So that's just how I play it on these YouTube streets as for now, till I get to know everybody and what's going on. But yeah, back to what I was saying about the Thuggee tribe. So the Thuggee tribe, there was a bunch of swindlers, con artists, criminals, and all that stuff. And whenever the British came over to do deals with them and stuff like that, they would lure them in. Say you coming in and you've been walking for a long time. Come on in, we give you something to eat, something to drink. We got some entertainment, stuff like that. They get you real relaxed and whatnot. And then they're gonna take you out. And then they will take everything that you have. And that's how the thugs work. That's where that whole terminology thug came from and was introduced to the English language because of the experience with the Thuggee tribe over in India. And so now we have this term that is being used in the United States to describe people who commit crimes and just live a life of crime and love violence and senseless violence at that. And they became the thugs. You would hear it a lot of times. They originally associated the word with the gangsters, the Italians, the mafia. Those are the ones that they would associate that word with, and that would be the guys who went out and did all the killings, the enforcers, and all of those guys. They were considered the thugs. Sammy the Bull Gravano was considered a thug. That's why they had such an issue with wanting to elevate him to the level of boss and stuff, because he just had that thug mentality. He would go out and do the dirty work and get his hands dirty in the situation. And so there's a certain type of people who operate under this context. And when hip hop adopted the thug persona and the thug identity, that right there, said you can screen share Deacon Mac on your laptop. Oh, word. Yeah, I was thinking, but I like having a laptop, but at the same time, it's more convenient when I do it from my phone. I know it sounds generic coming from my phone, but I'm able to move around and be more mobile with my phone, because I be doing a lot of stuff when I be talking to people sometimes, and you know, just having my phone handy, it make it more convenient. I'll be walking to the store doing a show or doing a live or something like that. So yeah, I just keep my phone handy, man. But laptop, you can do a lot of the green screen backgrounds and stuff like that. Cause I had like a little green sheet up on my wall when I had my laptop set up at first, and you could do the background, but it looked kind of cheesy to me, man. So I didn't really rock with the green screen background and stuff. So I just went back to my regular little simple format and just rock it like that, bro. But yeah, back to the Thuggies, man. I was so now you take hip hop music has adopted the Thuggy culture, because it was a culture. They were actual, when they're still a group. There's still some of the Thuggy tribe that exists to this day. And so it is a culture. It was a culture of robbery. It was a culture of death and destruction, because once again, they worship the goddess Kali. And so now, when hip hop adopted the thug culture, they adopted Kali, they adopted the death and destruction. And so it was ushered in. Whenever you remember, whenever Tupac had the group Thug Life, that's when the word thug just swept off. Well, it was through hip hop before then, because during the days of Ice Cube and um uh what else? Who else? Ghetto Boys, my bad, and all of those different guys, they were considered thugs. I remember that they played uh in one of their songs at the beginning how there was a politician who was considering them thugs, and so the term had already stuck to the rap industry in the 80s, and we ushered in the whole entire thuggy culture into hip hop, along with the worship of Kali, who is who? The goddess of death and destruction. And so, through all of these years, that goddess of death and destruction has been picking up power, because people say, well, if Yahweh is the true and living God, then how do any of these little gods get power? Well, it's just like any other spiritual transference of energy. If you have enough people who are channeling the energy into that entity, then you can have something to manifest, and that's where you get these demigods and things of that nature. So when you have enough people believing in this thuggy culture who's adopted the worship of Kali, now you're going to see a manifestation of that. And so the drill movement is a manifestation of us ushering in the whole thug culture into hip hop. Yeah. And that's pretty much what the conclusion that I came to, based on what I found in the origin of the word thug and how it connects to hip hop, and what the condition of hip hop now, ushering in that whole entire culture of death and destruction under that goddess in the state that it is right now. That's just my theory based on the information that I've um, looked up and validated on my own. You know, anybody that I put information out to, I always tell you go and look it up for yourself. Everything is public record, so it shouldn't be hard to find. I pulled it up in no time at all, you know, just off of a whim, just thinking. And so, yeah, go look it up. Check everything that I'm saying because everything that I'm saying is going to come back, you know, confirmed. And that's just my theory as to why hip hop is in the state that it is right now. That was the birth of drill music. Drill music is a product of us ushering in that spirit. Now, if you are a spiritual minded person and you're grounded and rooted in some type of spirituality, then you can see the significance of what was just said because everything is about symbology. If you understand symbology, there are certain symbols that harness power. There's certain uh, caricatures that produces energy, and these things are looked at as just sculptures or statues or just symbols, but these things actually harness a lot of power. And so you said rappers die every year. Man, rappers die every day. Rappers are dying every day now. And that's, like I said, that's just a build up, a escalation of all of these years of us giving all of this energy to that thug culture. And that came from the Thuggy tribe. That came from that's their belief system that we've adopted and didn't even know what we was praising and what we was giving our energy to. But now we're starting to see the manifestation of worshiping Kali, the goddess of death and destruction. We're seeing death and we're seeing destruction all through hip hop now. And that's in my opinion, in my theory, based on what I've seen and read and heard, I believe that that's exactly what took place. So, you know, street life is. See, there's a difference though, because, like I said, I'm from that generation. I came up in the '90s. I was a teenager in the '90s, so I can remember whenever hip hop changed. I can remember because we used to always have this major reverence for God. I think DMX was one of the last artists who would really reverence God for real in his music. A lot of people would, you know, just say little things here and there and hint towards they believe in God, but they would never really represent like that. And so but it was always understood in the hip hop industry during the '90s that there was a reverence for God or Allah. You had a lot of Muslims in the '90s as well, because a lot of the conscious groups were five percenters and Muslims and 7 Day Adventists and all different types of the Hebrew Israelites. All of this stuff was coming out back then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, DMX, that was my dude. Much rest in peace to my brother, man. Loved him, man. Loved his spirit. And so, yeah, all of this time back in the '90s, we were ushering in that whole thug culture, that thug style. That's what he embodied, and that's what people love the most about Tupac as well as DMX. Because after Tupac died, you know, you had they tried to bring in Ja Rule because he had that gruff voice and the bald head, and they was trying to fill in for Tupac. But Ja Rule didn't really have that real dog in him. He had that real street in him. And then when DMX hit the scene, that nigga was the epitome of grimy. And so he was he was that one. It was like, we can sleep a little bit better. Pac is gone, but we got this dude. You know what I'm saying? And really, a lot of people didn't see it, but DMX was filling Tupac's role after Tupac had died. And so we took on this thug persona. Everybody that was in the hood was calling themselves thug or gangster. You know what I'm saying? You're a thug or you gangster or you both. I'm a gangster ass thug. But we always would give praise to that term thug. We would always lift up and put that term thug on a pedestal. If you was a thug, you got respect in the streets. If you was a thug, nobody bothered you. If you was a thug, you had the highest esteem within your environment. And by us giving so much power and worshiping, because that's what we was doing once it was tatted across Tupac's stomach and they started yelling thug life. And then when you go to a concert and you have all those thousands of people chanting thug life, they're chanting repetitious worship to the thug life, the thuggy cultural life of death and destruction and murder and criminal behavior. That's what we was ushering in the 90s. That's what we was doing. We didn't even know it. And then you fast forward to today, whenever uh, Chief Keef when he hit this game, when he hit the ground running and ushered in the whole entire drill sound and the drill attitude, hip hop was in a place of, we were growing, we was progressing and hip hop is definitely become the top genre. It's used in all type of advertising, all type of marketing all across the world, and it's a very lucrative market. But now we're starting to see the manifestation of that thug worship, of that Kali worship, that death and destruction. It's going to manifest at some point, and we've given so much energy to it over all of these decades from the 90s. I say from at least 1995 until now. From 1995 until now, we've worshiped death and destruction, and we've promoted it constantly. And so, how much power do you think that spirit has through all of the channeling that we've done? It's been so much. It's been so much. And so the conclusion that I come to and the theory that I'm just going to stand on, especially the more that I dig into this and the more that I find just different information to back up my theory or either debunk my theory, I'm rocking with this theory that I got right now. We ushered in this death and destruction that we're seeing in rap right now by adopting the thuggy culture because we don't know the origins of thug and thug life. That's crazy, dog. That's what I jumped on here to say, man. And I do that sometimes. I'll be like, I need to take my ass to bed, but man, I'll start researching something and go all the way down a rabbit hole, dog. And then I can't just go to sleep on it because if I go to sleep on it, when I wake up, I ain't even going to be able to word it right or articulate it the way it is fresh in my mind right now. So I'm just stay my ass up for a little bit so I can get this thought out. That's the whole purpose for me starting my channel, for me to be able to get my thoughts out like this, because this shit happen to me all the time. It'll be 2-3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and write a damn spoken word piece. You know what I'm saying? My wife looking at me crazy. It's 4:30 in the morning. I'm sitting up here writing out some spoken word or some shit. And so she was like, "You need to find you a journal or something, a recorder, so you can do that." It's I found StreamYard and linked up with this dude, man, and just been doing this for a little minute here. I like to get my thoughts out, and I like to try to connect dots on stuff. So this is what a lot of my content be about, just open free thought, man. I don't try to regulate anybody's thoughts, or I don't challenge anybody whenever they attempt to think outside of the box, because that's what so many people discourage, and that's what's keeping us at a low level of creativity. And so I'm just all about people really um, pushing the envelope. You can push the envelope when having conversations with me, because I'm definitely going to be thinking outside of the box. I'm not going to be thinking conventional and orthodox on everything. I'm going to be thinking unorthodox as fuck, and sometimes just flat out fucking weird. But that shit is going to come together to make some type of sense whenever I finish putting it out there. So, yeah, I just jumped on, man, just to put this thought out in the air, man. I hope everybody been having a good weekend so far. I know I've been chilling, just cooling out in my man cave and relaxing, enjoying not having to do shit. That's something that I really enjoy, not doing shit. Because for like the first part of my life, shit, I worked my ass off. I was always a hard worker and shit like that. And now I was able to be blessed enough to where I don't have to do all of that shit at an early age. And I'm just taking advantage of that and cooling and chilling and just building and growing and trying to help other people to build and grow and shit. That's it. But yeah, it's damn, 2:20. I'm going to take my ass to bed, get up, and start all over again tomorrow. I appreciate you coming in, Mike. 27, Darren, what's going on, man? Uh, yeah, I know you coming in and just catching the back end of this, but I was just talking about the Thuggy tribe, the origins of the word thug. And when I started digging, it took me to India and told me about the Thuggy culture and how it's connected to the goddess Kali, the goddess of death and destruction, because, that was their religion over there. And so when we adopted the whole thug mindset, the whole thug moniker, and we took on that culture, because it is a culture and a religion, we took on that death and destruction that the goddess of Kali represented. And so we ushered that into hip hop. And now we're starting to see the manifestation of that. I don't know if you heard me say that. I just wanted to reiterate that, so you can understand what the whole topic of conversation was about. I like to do stuff like this. I will get a hold to some information, and I work it out with everybody that I bring the information to, because I have no problems in saying that I was wrong about something, especially if somebody find the information to debunk it. But that's what I'm on here for, is to find solutions and find answers and stuff. So yeah, I jump on this mug at 3 o'clock in the morning and be wide open like it's in the middle of the day. And I don't have no schedule, so I can do shit like that. But yeah, man. Hey, yeah. While we got a couple of people in here, how do you drop the link into the chat and shit so you can get people to come on the panel? Anybody sitting here, 27, Darren? You know how to do that? You said you got Streamlabs, Mike. Okay, you say you got Streamlabs. I got StreamYard. Um, Yeah, I got frustrated with mine. I did it a couple times, but man, I be in here about lit sometimes, and I just have a brain fart, and I get it. I figure it out, because, like I said, I'm start doing panels more, man. I for the longest time I didn't do panels because I would go up on people panels and I would just hear a lot of stuff that I don't really participate in as far as conversation wise. But then I was like, I've been doing this thing for almost a year now. It's time for me to start networking and start to I guess to grow my page. Cause I don't really care about views and subs and all that shit. Don't move me like that. It don't dictate my content. It don't dictate how I move or nothing like that. So I ain't in no hurry to do no shit. That's why I haven't upgraded my channel and shit yet. I could have been done that shit 10 times over, but that's I don't care about stuff like that. I'm not on here to be nobody. I'm just on here today. I'm talk because I have a whole lot of shit that I can say. Because I take in a whole lot of information on a regular basis, and I like to work shit out. So yeah, that's D Mac, man, and I'm gonna dig into this thuggy shit a little bit more because I'm gonna lay out a whole damn little presentation about hip hop and the state that it's in right now and all of the contributing factors into where it is right now and why murder is just you have to basically be a murderer to be a successful hip hop artist now. You have to be a fucking killer, a serial killer at that, in order to be a successful hip hop artist. That's some wild ass shit when you think about it. You said you just creating your intros. Yeah, I got that intro, the intro thing, and the one intro that I have, I'm gonna stick with this intro forever because it was created by my he was my nephew because he was married to my niece. He was my brother just because he was super cool, but he was also my producer in music. And it's a clip from one of the songs that me and him made, and he got killed. Like it's been going. Matter of fact, 2 years ago, like last month, he got murdered. You know what I'm saying? Gun violence. He wasn't out there thugging or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? But he got caught up in a situation that he didn't make it out of, and so I'm always gonna keep my same intro music. I don't give a fuck who does what upgrades. I don't give a fuck about none of that. My intro is never gonna change because that's honoring my boy. That's honoring Simeon Shaw. So yeah, my intro is gonna always stay the same. And you said you was listening to your live. You didn't say anything because you was waiting for you to talk. Even if you think no one is there, you still need to talk instead of waiting for people to come. That's good. That's good advice right there. That's good advice because you never know. Exactly. I be lurking, dog. When I say I be lurking, I will get in your chats and I'll just sit there and I'll just listen to the conversation. And it's not on no sneaky snake type shit. It's some uh getting a foundation of what the conversation is before I try to jump my ass in there. I always attribute it to when you say you go out to a party or something or a gathering where people are standing there talking and somebody's talking and you just busting up in the middle of their conversation, throwing your 2 cents in there. That's some rude ass shit. And if somebody was to do that in person, you probably get saying somebody to tell you about yourself or they punch you in your face or whatever the case may be. But, that's what I attribute that to. So I sit back and chill and I'll just see how the room is going. And if I have an opportunity to put in some advice or some information that I know on the subject, then that's what I do and just rock like that. And so, yeah, I definitely I'm learning a lot of little things, picking up things here and there from everybody, man. But yeah, somebody, if you got StreamYard, you use StreamYard, let me know how to drop the link because that's something that's been irking my damn nerves lately, and that's the only thing that's stopping me from actually doing panels and shit. You know how we had too much pride to them say that we can't do something simple, and we had them sit there and just him do it out. Cause I know when somebody tell me how to do the shit, it's gonna be very simple, and I'm gonna feel dumb as hell. But that's okay. I have to swallow my pride in order to progress sometimes. So yeah, just let me know, man. If you figure it out, let me know. If I figure it out, I'll let you know, dog, so we can get get our channels popping up and popping. But yeah, you say yeah. I saw you was testing your live and stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can get views off of anything. I've seen people get views off of some of the weirdest things, but everybody's got a flavor. You can pretty much come up with any type of topic, and you can find a group of people that are interested in that same thing, no matter how weird it is. The weirdest thing that you can imagine come up with in your mind, somewhere in this internet universe, there's a group of people who like, you know what, I enjoy that too. Like, wow, that's real talk. Blessings, Lovey. How you doing? Yeah, so I'm back to the subject matter though. I'm gonna look up a little bit more because I remember that there was a series done by Pastor G. Craig Lewis where he was talking about the spirit behind hip hop. And he went all the way back to like the Sugar Hill Gang and all of those groups like that. And he began to point out a lot of demonic activity. Yo, crazy cousin, what's going on, man? There was a lot of demonic activity that was behind a lot of our music that we wasn't even privy to. And so I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull up G. Craig Lewis because that ties right in to what I'm talking about. Because when we accepted that whole thuggy culture, because he said something about the goddess Kali, as a matter of fact. And like I stated, that's the goddess of death and destruction. And so when we accepted that whole thug concept and that thug culture, not even knowing where the origin of that came from, we accepted the goddess of Kali and we accepted death and destruction into hip hop music. We ushered it in, we channeled it through us, we gave it all the energy and power in the world. And now we're starting to see the manifestation of that thuggy culture, of that thuggy spirit that we ushered into our music for our people. So yeah, I'm definitely going to do a thorough research of this because whenever I present it again, I'm going to, just lay it out there to where there's no room left for any question on the point that I'm going to bring about. It's kind of plain for me to see, but this is something that I do all the time. Like I said, I go down rabbit holes all the time and I damn connect dots on a lot of things and I present it to people and you have a open opportunity to say, yeah, that makes sense, or nah, dude, you tripping. But either way, ain't no hard feelings. I still got love, but I love that feedback because that's what make me learn. That's what make me grow. So I appreciate that shit. And I don't have a ego to be like, get offended by something somebody say. So, yeah, man. Salute everybody. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. I was just talking about some history and stuff and this whole hip hop business because I used to be in the hip hop business like heavy in the early 2000s and stuff. And, we established a pretty large following. We had our group in North Carolina. We had our own record label and all of that stuff. And so I started to get my feet wet in the industry, or dip my toe in at least. And some of the things that I was experiencing on the ground level of getting into the music industry was a deterrent to me wanting to move forward, especially if it was me having to compromise my belief system for my desire to be successful in hip hop. And so you have to come to those crossroads sometimes. And I chose my spiritual life. I chose my sanity. I chose my mental well-being because I saw the route that we was going. Shit, we was either gonna end up in rehab, dead, or something. It wasn't going to turn out well. I didn't have a good feeling about it. And whenever you're going into what you consider your dream job and your dream career, you're supposed to be excited. You're supposed to have this surreal feeling. I didn't have none of that. We were sitting down at the table and talking with Scarface, and this is back when Def Jam South was first created, and Scarface was he was the CEO of Def Jam South. Ludacris was his first artist to come off of that label, and he did his album release party at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we was one of the opening groups for it. And so we was having these conversations, we was having these networks and stuff like that and getting in there, but it didn't feel right. It never felt right, and I was a member of a group, and so my partner, a lot of times there would be not tension between us, but just unspoken thoughts. You know how you feeling something, and your boy know you feeling something, but he don't want to say nothing, that type of shit. And so a lot of things went unsaid, and ultimately, you know, um, the group broke up and stuff like that, and we went our separate ways. But going into the music industry didn't feel right. It didn't sit right in my spirit. It just didn't feel good to me. It didn't feel like I was accomplishing something. It felt like I was pretty much walking into a trap, more or less. Because the first thing first was that they tried to change our image into like Master P and No Limit, because they had just came out too. This is in 99, 2000. So that's the energy that was prevalent at the time, and that's what they were trying to get everybody to be like. You gotta be like No Limit. You gotta be like that high energy Master P and all. No, 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 that wasn't even my flavor. So we definitely was bumping heads when it came to that. But I've seen gradually over time how hip hop has got more and more aggressive, because back when we had Public Enemy, people often talk about this in passing, but nobody really gives it the spotlight or the highlight. When we had Public Enemy, and that whole era of Do the Right Thing, Spike Lee, and everybody was on a Africa shit. We had some black pride. We had not the unity that we wanted, but we had everybody on that mindset. Everybody was on that wavelength. And that wasn't beneficial because the prison system was suffering. And so, in order for them to actually get the mindset of black people back to that slave mentality, is when they made an organized effort through the FBI to get rid of, uh, um, hey, well, who was I was just talking about? Public Enemy, and then they brought in NWA. NWA ushered in the era of thug or gangster music. And remember, they call them gangsters and thugs, and that is also what ushered in that whole thug spirit, and that's what we see in today. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to do a whole lot. I like to do a whole lot of research. I like to have a whole lot of reference points whenever I bring out stuff like this, because anytime you come up with an answer to something, it's gonna produce more questions. That's just the nature of knowledge and learning and growing. And so that's what I'm gonna do. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. You said, have I heard about the meeting that changed hip hop forever? Supposedly the secret meeting. Yeah, I heard about that. I think old boy from Bone Thugs and Harmony was talking about that. Crazy Bone. Yeah, he was talking about that. Um, Professor Griff, I follow Serious Minds sometimes. I go in and check in with him, but back in the day, whenever Griff really came out heavy and really started revealing stuff, I was on everything that Professor Griff was lecturing on. You know what I'm saying? So I've been versed in a lot of this stuff since the 90s, man. And that's why I say a lot of this stuff that I hear people be talking about is just stuff that's been regurgitated from the 90s. And but yeah, man, I definitely have heard about that, and there's a lot of truth to that, because how can you control the masses? You control them through music, you control, well, I'll say entertainment as a whole, and you control them through religion, and you control them through finance, and you control them through indoctrination, which they disguise as education. So, yeah, it's absolutely true. We all know it's true, and that's the frustrating thing about it, because you have the truth right there in your face, but you just can't prove it. That's the most frustrating thing in the world. He said, you got to do it from YouTube, not on StreamYard. Just click on the three dots by a person name, and it gives you the options. Bet, bet. Okay. All right, y'all. That's all I really wanted to come on and put out there, man. Like I said, I'm gonna do a follow up on this. Decided a couple months back that I would just comb back through all of my videos and start doing updates on different stuff. That's how I ended up back on a lot of these topics. So this is something fresh and new for me. So I'm going to definitely dig into this, man, and bring it back to y'all at a later time. I appreciate y'all coming through and check out what I was talking about tonight. Blessings to everybody. Yo, it's Mike. I'm going to come check you out when you get everything up and popping. Best believe that. And I'm out of here. Y'all know what I say, man. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.